What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another
Hey!
episode of Carbonite Bounty BS. Um, yeah,
Hi, world.
guys, what an interesting night, man. We got for everybody. We had a double treat. So
Yeah.
we had a double treat from Star Wars. So in turn for you guys, we'll have a double feature for you guys as well. So we'll be breaking up today. We'll keep it on as usual. So we'll be doing our episode 8 review of Andor, and we're also going to be sprinkling in for you guys for those who've seen it or haven't watched it yet. Go out and check out that those Star Wars tales, those Jedi tales. They're very, very interesting, and I can't wait to hear everybody's reaction on those. But before we even get started any of that stuff, let's let our guy DP let you guys know where to find us at.
Nerdcyclopedia.com, people. Make sure that you are checking that website where you get all our social media platform handles: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and also on TikTok. We're at Nerdcyclopedia. Also, make sure that you're listening to our podcast. We are on iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher. Anywhere that you listen to your favorite podcast, we are there. If you're watching us on YouTube, thank you. Make sure that you hit that notification button so anytime that we're on, you know that we're on. If you're on Facebook, join our Carbonite Bounty BS or Star Wars group where we're talking about everything Star Wars, leaving feedback and all that good stuff. And then speaking of leaving feedback, nerds at nerdcyclopedia.com, people. Make sure that you are going on and emailing us and leaving us your favorite feedbacks about everything that we talk about.
Good stuff, good stuff. And yeah, I mean, we're at the back half of this, and like we discussed off camera, I mean, we're at hour 8 of this 12-hour movie, and I have nothing bad to say about it. So I'm not even going to give you guys a reaction about, this episode. It's really like just keeping pace and it's following suit for me. So I really can't say anything I haven't already said. It's phenomenal. I'm enjoying it. And let's go 9 for 9. What
Yeah.
about you, Ken?
Like this episode a lot. We're really starting to see the underbelly of the Empire, like the inner workings. We're starting to see their ability to control and their thirst to control. And just the prison. I mean, the Empire knows how to do a prison. Like when you go there, you're getting punished. Like to the point where the dude killed himself because he couldn't take it anymore. And he killed himself and threw himself on the hot floor. Like, and I like they're getting like just real with it. Like they're not messing around with weird space terms. Like it's a hot floor. Don't step on it. You see the red lights, you're dead. You know? And the Empire's willingness to do that, to drive a person without any care or emotion to kill themselves. I liked seeing the big dinner, Mon Mothma's big dinner, and hearing a little bit about how Palpatine is really regarded. Like they can't figure him out because they actually a lot of the senators seemed to me, the conversations that were going on seemed to me that they think he's a loose wheel. Like we don't really know where he's going to do, but his main objective is to protect order and protect the public. So that's what they think the Emperor is supposed to do. That's his charge. So that was interesting to hear that actually come out of somebody's mouth, because we know different. We know that's not what he cares about in any way, shape, or form, but he's doing such a damn good job of spoofing everybody. These dignitaries who are educated and come from good families and a background. That was cool. Our poor corporate police officer, where's he going to end up? Is he going to work with the ISB? Is he going to be an agent for them? I mean, I thought that was really cool. But all the cool stuff in this episode, all I want to know is what the hell were they building? What is the thing that that Cassian is building, and can he maybe not tighten a bolt to 64 foot-pounds and make a failure for the Empire, like on every one of these things? I mean, my head was just spinning. I watched that scene over and over again to see if I could figure out what that part was, but couldn't find anything on the internet anyway. But great episode. Like you said, T. Mitch, it's moving right along. It's flowing real nice. There's nothing that we're missing. So it's great. Can't wait for number 9.
What about you, Hitch?
Man, This show is always doing something different, and it's going in a direction you don't expect. And every single time they've done it, it's landed, which is really a testament to how they've written this character and how they've decided to plot this stuff out. This is a new environment. We've never been inside a actual Imperial like factory prison. We've been inside a detention facility before, but we've never been inside an actual like, you know, labor camp, like a gulag. This is an Imperial gulag, ladies and gentlemen. It's part of the Empire's military industrial complex. They have all this forced labor. They're talking about how they're being kept longer and longer. They doubled everybody's days, right? Because they have a day countdown. 12 hours on, 12 hours off, 3 squares a day, and sometimes you get a flavor if you win. So honestly, I don't know. Is it really that bad? Is the Emperor really being that bad? I mean, sure, yeah, you lose, you get fried. I get it. You know, maybe that's not super progressive, but I mean, is the Emperor wrong to do this? I mean, between you and me, those separatists were blowing a lot of stuff up, and ever since Darth Vader took care of the separatists, it hasn't happened. So I don't know. Maybe Palpatine's onto something. Anyway, no, this episode was just great, and every direction they're going, you know, like they're chasing their own tails. You know, looking after Marva, and it's just so interesting how you have like all these plots colliding at Andor, right? And Andor is just safely lifted out of the plot.
As a tourist, he's a tourist.
Yeah.
Right, and it's totally believable that this would happen. It's totally believable that a bureaucracy of this size would have the exact person they were looking for already in custody, the one place they would never look for them. And I just think that's such an interesting plot twist. I thought that the difference in brutality between the guards in the prison and Andy Serkis, you know, Andy here was, you know, really, really great. And I thought that the way that he was managing them was really interesting. He kind of reminded me of some bosses I've had down along the line over time. So we got a Forrest Whitaker appearance with Saw Gerrera. I mean, this episode had a lot of movement to it, even though it was quote unquote filler. I was saying this off mic. This whole piece reminds me of like if you're playing like a Grand Theft Auto and there's like a rhythm game right in the middle of it where you have to like, you know, it's like it would be like some real simple rhythm game, like where you have to bounce your car around and like you'd be like, I could be doing all these missions that are important to the plot. And then you're like, I'm going to bounce my car around. Like you just keep going back to that one thing. And it seems like that's kind of what's happening here when they need to put Cassian on ice. So I really like this episode a lot, but you know, I'm enjoying it and I can't wait for next week, frankly.
I can't wait to watch all these episodes over again, you know, because it's a 10 out of 10 for me, you know, 8 out of 8, you know. I mean, we're just like on that roll. As Hitch was talking about, you know, and Ken was talking about, we're at Chekhov's parts, you know. So whatever they're building in the prison, we're going to see at some point.
Yep.
At some point, you know, I've always wondered, like watching the Star Wars movies, how do they build such big toys and how do they get it all together and everything? And who does this? You know, how does it get made? And, you know, all who just does all this? So now we're seeing like, you know, the labor portion, you know, of it. And it's just fascinating how they go about that and how they go about capturing their, you know, how the Empire goes about getting their labor camp together. And like, you know, Hitch saying it's a gulag, it's a tragedy. It's just crazy. And it's a sad thing to see. I mean, I guess entertaining on TV, you know, to see, but it's, you know, just looking at it on the surface of it, it's just sad, you know. And, you know, as Hitch was talking about with the storylines conversion and everything, lifting Cassian conveniently out of the plot and just having everybody coming out for him and everything, and he's right in their possession. I mean, the Gilroy brothers, they're just like, they're doing their thing, man. You know, props to the writing team and, you know, everybody who's going all out trying to make this world feel full, feel more detailed. I love the attention to like the detail on everything that we're seeing like on screen. You know, it was sort of jarring to go back to was it Canary? No, not Canary, but back to where we seen Cassian in from in the beginning. What's the planet? What's the planet name
Like
that we
Raxus? Something like
that Binks is on?
It is
Panics, right?
Huh? Is that the name of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where the
it was kind of jarring to see that planet, because after it all seeing like, you know, the gulag, you know, him, you know, going to prison and everything, for them to go back to that, I was like, okay, I don't know, you know, where's this going? And then we see like, you know, the other players from from the, you know, from the heist, you know, we see Arvel and her girlfriend and everything, just trying to track down Andor and stuff. So I like that, you know, how the plots, like, you know, like Hitch said, was you know, conversion and everything. I love like the uniforms, like the thing that he did to shot the prisoners and everything into making them aware that was just level 1. You don't want to go up the other 2 levels, you know. So don't let it get to that point. Andor was just it was a lot to take in, taking all that in. He went from, you know, laying up with some female and everything to being a prisoner to having his life just taken just like that, you know, all his rights and everything just taken just like that, you know. And what can he do? What can he do? You know, and I think we're starting to see like whatever they're building, we're seeing them build, but we're seeing like the I guess we're meeting the crew that I think is eventually going to end up getting out of prison. I don't know, you know, maybe, you know, we're going to see a prison break at some point. We got the introduction, we got a heist. Now we're going to see a prison break at some point. So I'm excited to see how that's going to go down. So props to the Gilroys. I love this episode. Like I said, 10 out of 10, 8 out of 8 for me so far.
When they were in the transportation, when they were in the I don't know what you call them, but the tubes that they were moving from job to home, they were sending signals. They were doing sign language through. Right. So something's going to happen, DP. There's going to be a break, but it's not going to be that team. It's not going to be table 5.
Okay.
It's going to be several prisoners on multiple levels.
Okay.
That have intel on certain points of weakness, let's say, that they've been able to figure out. Yep. I mean, we saw this in Escape from Alcatraz. We saw this same thing where the guys would pass when they were going to get food or, you know, going to get a shower or whatever. They would pass signals that certain things were available, like a certain hallway was available. Guards were cleared at a certain time, and they would send a certain signal. So, I mean, that alone, that was intriguing because that was going on between, I don't know how, maybe these things were a quarter mile apart, and they were doing these sign language, this very complex sign language, so that they were able to get these signals across. So there's already an infrastructure of rebellion within the Empire right now, which I thought was super cool.
Yeah, there you go. You know,
they have to bleed from the inside first, and they have to squeeze so tightly on the outside that they hemorrhage on the inside. And that's what Luthen is saying. That he wants oppression. He wants innocents to die because that's how you build rebellion. That's how you make people angry enough to give their lives.
I can see his logic. It's just sad that it has to go down. Did I ever tell you guys that I hate the Empire? You know,
what? You hate them?
I just don't like these guys. I mean, you know, it's so sad that, you know, it has to come to that point where I love how he keeps just hammering that point, you know, home, squeeze them. You know, make them, you know, fight, make the Empire, you know, be more aggressive and everything, because that's going to make the people rise up, the oppressed people rise up and actually rebel to take this thing down. I mean, he's pretty much the only one that's seeing, like, you know, the full forest, you know, after the trees and everything, if you want to call it. And then, you know, we'll get our boy Luke saving the whole day and everything. So this is all a setup. It is crazy. I'm loving it.
You know, it struck me at a certain point that, you know, especially when those guys walked in with their designer Jordans, safety Jordans, safety Jordans is going
Generation 6.
But it struck me that they could probably get results here without the need for all this, you know, senseless human misery. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, not for nothing, but Star Wars Episode 2, for all its flaws, did show us that you could have a very effective military-industrial complex in this universe without the need for basically anybody. You can just set up an assembly line and it'll do it. So what's the purpose of taking these people off the streets on trumped up charges, right? On just trash, throwing them in jail and making them work? Well, I'll tell you what the purpose is. It's because the Emperor is a Sith Lord, and when everybody's miserable, he's more powerful. He has more ability to make people do stuff. It's one of these insidious things about the Empire, is that they could probably have gotten things done in a lot more of a simple way, but they've decided to choose slave labor and forced, like, penal servitude labor, right? That's what they're choosing here.
There's no cost. They don't have to pay anybody.
But they gotta feed them. They have to actually feed them. They have droids in this universe that can build things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, evil is as evil does. They can't help themselves. That's just
optional.
what they do.
Optional suffering, and my thing is Palpatine's dedication to not just getting every ounce of production, but every ounce of suffering.
Yes.
Like, you're telling me the Emperor can't afford 6 times the flavor for these guys to just take flavor away from the worst people? That's all they'd have to change. All they'd have to change, and it would be like 1/10 as miserable for them.
That was great. That was like Hunger Games. Like they got a little bit of like Big Brother in there. They were like they were all the have-nots. Okay, if you're a have-not for the week, you get food, but there's no flavor. But you can win this competition, and we'll give you a little bit of flavor. That was that. I mean, that was brilliant. Yeah. It was a brilliant way to spin the slave labor part.
And evictions are a lot more metal at the Imperial prison than they are in Big Brother, for sure, right?
And really permanent. I mean, when you're evicted from an Imperial prison, you're evicted. Like,
there's no battle back. You definitely don't get a battle back for the jury.
Nope, you don't get a battle back. You don't get to like compete in some like competition. Like, you're done.
Yeah,
it was the way they structured all the sevens. Like, there's so many weird little intricacies of how they have, like, it's not 50 guys, it's 49. Like, that's such a weird thing. It's just such a weird setup, right?
On that one floor, you mean, right? The one room. Yeah,
it's 40. It's 50 total, so it's 777. It's 40. You know what I mean? It's 49, which is 7 squared. You know, for the most part. If you know your
math.
It was fun to see Andy Serkis. I was shocked seeing him. You know, I was not expecting that. I was like, okay. I'd love Andy. You know, do your thing. And anytime he's on screen, when he was in Black Panther and even in Avengers and stuff, you know, I mean, he is a presence whenever he's on screen and everything. You know, so seeing him in this element and everything, it was fit right. He just fit right in. The boss, prison boss. You know, commanding everyone and everything.
Just regular boss. I don't want to. When I say that I have had managers that remind me of this guy, I don't mean like directly, right? Like that. I don't feel like I would actually. I have many managers that would actually, like, you know, try to grab me up, but maybe some. But I know, you know, as somebody who's worked in the sales industry, there are certain times when, you know, management gets a little bit insistent about turning in sales. and they will come and they will say, hey, you know, your table not as protective as the other tables. And I'm sure there are some who, if they could deliver a shock, may. So, you know, so I guess thank you to all of our bosses that haven't delivered those electric shocks to us when we haven't produced. So thank you so much for the mercy.
You don't want to get
ready though.
They're really thinking about it. I'm telling you.
They're thinking about it right now. They just watched this episode. Like, you know what?
I gotta make sure not. I gotta make sure not to
get more production out of these idiots. Yeah, I think we should do that. You know, that's Steel City. He's got something to say. Let's take him up on that.
I talk about the show a little bit at work, so people know about it. But I don't know if I want to talk about this episode at work. Right? I don't want to give this guy any
ideas, right? Oh,
it's like, well, my worst psychological fear. You know what I mean? Like you don't want any of that. But I love that it's objectively hopeless for no reason. Like it's pointlessly hopeless. Like there's no reason to do this. Like they could like this. Like they're tightening, bolts. They're doing mechanical processes. The fact that it's repetitive means that it could be done by an assembly line. It could be done by a fabricating machine. And I'll say this, you guys know, those of you that have read the books, I know Team Mitch, you've read a lot of these novels too. They have those world building machines on Coruscant where they just basically crap out apartment complexes and just keep moving. So this stuff exists in this universe. They're doing it on purpose. And listen, it's something that's been said in our timeline too. The cruelty is the point. It's
100%.
It's like an electric version of I think
if you get to the point where you're making a Death Star to destroy it, I mean,
so and that's what I was thinking. That part, thinking about it, you know what that part looks like? A giant Lego piece, but it's a connector, and it had 6 prongs to it, so that could very easily be an outside exoskeleton piece of a Death Star, but you'd have hundreds of thousands of these to create like one quadrant of Death Star, and you'd use these, whatever steel they have, beams plugged into those connectors into another connector, like not Lego. I'm thinking Connectix.
Oh, the Connects, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, like that piece,
yeah.
like that. Yeah. You'd connect those pieces in. So now, yes, they are building the infrastructure for the Death Star.
That would be so dope. Oh my goodness. If that's the through line to all leading all the way up to Rogue One, they're slowly building the Death Star.
They're slowly building the thing they're going to try to destroy.
Wow.
And the fact that Andor isn't on both ends, right? Right. He's at the very beginning and he's at the very end of the story of the Death Star.
Great pickup, Ken.
I just think like, you can build a military industrial complex without the need for for large scale. Yeah, you don't need to do that. My question is what happens, and I love that this episode, more than any other episode, satisfied one thing that I've been complaining about, which is that it's all humans, right? This one makes sense. Get it. Done. Right? The aliens are on their own planet doing their own alien-specific tortures, right? That's fine with me. They have different senses, so they would have different motivators. That's cool. So this really answered that question and shut me up, and I like
it. And there's different aliens. Like I don't recognize any of the non-human, species. Like basically in at the party. I mean, as the camera panned around, I didn't recognize any of them, which was weird because normally I don't know every piece of the universe like Team Mitch or Steel City.
I'm far from that.
Come on,
I'm far from that.
Well, I'm just like I saw no hammerheads, no Twi'leks, no, you know what I mean? They were like weird. Like there was the one thing with like tusks that sort of came out from the lower mouth. Like what's that? Like who's that? There were no. I mean, Jar Jar wasn't there. Shouldn't Jar Jar be there?
I'm thinking Jar Jar was probably thrown off a building shortly after the events of episode 3. I'm assuming we're going to see that. I know we are not talking about it, but Tales of the Jedi may have that scene in it. We'll have to see.
Maybe they have the sequence where Jar Jar's like run over by a Trade Federation tank by his mother.
What if it's Obi-Wan coming back to course? Hello.
I forgot to do this last time I was here.
But if you were doing, let's assume there is a counter purge at the end of the Empire, right? If you're doing recriminations, if you're doing a war crimes trial, is there any criminal greater in the Star Wars universe than perhaps Jar Jar Binks, who is the one who actually initiated the motion to give Palpatine the power in the first place? I'm just saying, if I'm in charge of the New Republic's, Retribution and Reconciliation Tribunal, Jar Jar Binks is getting the axe, baby. I'm sending Jar Jar Binks to the tumblers. That's how it's gonna go.
Let's trace it back to where it started.
Right.
Gun City. And let me tell you another thing about Guns. No, we don't have to do that.
You know what my favorite character on the show is slightly becoming though? I'm kind of liking Deidre.
Oh, yeah, she's awesome.
She's really really taking that role on as being, I guess, second in command basically now. She's on the planet as we see the episode ending. She's doing full-fledged interrogation, and this is almost like we talk about the current times. I mean, these are like, real, almost, war type interrogations. I mean, they had him in a chair. I was as some sort of washboarding or something. They had straps and machinery there, so mind probing of some sort or something. But oh man, I mean, I was hoping when we first seen her, I was like, is she like a double agent or something? Because she was kind of weird, and now she's like full fledged,
No,
Hell Hydra.
They gave her a little power. She's like, I'm
She's
full on now.
You want a power trip all the way to the galaxy.
No holds barred. Shoot.
my thing with these interrogation scenes is I think a lot about the context of the prequel trilogy, right? And what would all of this feel like if it came out in like 2005, right, or 2004? And I think in some ways, just because everything we do in fiction is sort of an answer to something that happens in reality, this is thinking about the war on terror. And I'll say, as somebody who was in college on like sort of a philosophy study course in that time frame, I'll say that this is something that came up all the time from freshmen in different classes that I was in, where they'd say something like, well, would you torture a terrorist to get information? You need to save a bunch of people, right? It was just a very, very common thing that people would say in ethics classes, just to kind of, the question is utilitarianism versus the other one. And I don't want to get into it because I'm out of practice. But the point I want to make here is that sometimes people think that the ends justify the means. And we hear that argument voiced at multiple places here. And what we find is the ends don't justify the means. We see that where the boot heel meets the ground, right? When we really get to it, all of that stuff, that coercion, is unnecessary. You don't need any of that stuff.
Well, you're talking about, the ends justifying the means and everything. Let's speak about Luthen, And he's the ultimate one, we got to do this. The ends justify the means. People have to, in order for this thing to jump off, people are going to die. People are going to be, it's going to have to be sacrificed. So on his end, the end is justifying the means and stuff, So, I mean, it's an interesting thing.
And for him, the Empire is calling him Axis. So we don't really know what his deal is. Like, he could be looking at this like, you know what? I see the Empire as being this big failed system. This is not going to work. The more you crush people, the more they're going to fight back. So I want to get in. I want to get ahead of the game, and I want to be on the winning side, because he might be looking at this monetarily, maybe politically, maybe he's, they haven't really given me a sense of what his motivation is to take this risk.
I 100% agree. Is he ultimate good? Is he doing this out of the goodness of his heart, or
is he a capitalist? Is he looking at taking a gain from actually whoever wins? Where he is right now, that's why he's considered an Axis. He could go either way. He could be bought, he could be sold. But I think that he's sort of the gray component of this whole thing, because I don't really know I don't think he's a good guy. I don't think he's a bad guy right now.
Well, Saul Guerrero asked that question in the episode.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
know who you are. Who are you?
And we know Saw Garrett. I mean, we know Saw is True Blue. Like that's great.
Yeah.
We know that all about him. So like if we ever came into conflict between having to trust Saw or Luthen, I think we'd pick Saw. as far as loyalty to the cause, not necessarily deviant. We know Saul will do literally anything he has to do. He has no moral compunction against using violence or whatever he has to do against the Empire. That's what makes him pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I mean it definitely was an interesting episode. It just as you said, the whole Luthen piece is kind of like the big kind of like, I guess, elephant in the room. Like,
Do you guys know what the Reichstag fire is? If I said the Reichstag fire,
Mm-mm.
you guys familiar with that? All right. So after Hitler came to power in Germany, the Nazis staged a fire. They burnt the capital essentially of the Weimar Republic. So where the Congress met, and they of course, being Nazis, blamed
somebody else.
Yeah, a specific type of person. So they blame Jewish people for it, and then they use it as an excuse, a pretext to pass a lot of laws for security, for safety, that ratcheted up the penalties for crimes, and of course, as Nazis are wont to do, discriminated, obviously horribly against Jewish people.
Mm-hmm.
So
anyone that wasn't Aryan, wasn't necessarily the Jews, but anybody. Right. If you weren't this specific type, you were a criminal. So,
and this is the mechanism Hitler used to take ultimate power, autocratic power in Germany. Mm-hmm. Took advantage of that happening to pass autocratic measures for the reason of stopping terrorist attacks like the Reichstag fire, which he perpetrated. So that's what the Reichstag fire is. And my question to you is, how is this heist not? How could it not be that? Luthen could be working for the Empire here, because once you have unrest, you have a reason to clamp down on people. And if the cruelty is the point, then the whole point is creating a pretext to clamp down on people. And if you're winning for 20 years and you're so efficient, people are just, your troops are just sitting on their ass half the time, because why would anybody mess with you? You're not really even, you're around, but you're not doing anything to anyone. They almost had somewhat cordial relationships with the local people at a certain point. And that's gone, because now the Empire is going to basically glass everything and ruin local customs and get involved in the day-to-day life. So, whether you want the Empire to collapse because you want it to be unpopular, or you want the Empire to have a reason to smash people just because the point is you want them to smash people because you want people to be smashed, ultimately you'd be acting the same way right now. That's what makes that character so super interesting. And I really like it.
So you think he's playing the sides? He's kind of doing the Emperor thing. Like, he's really.
If you told me at the end of this process that like Darth Vader was going to come out of like he was going to go report to Darth Vader and give him a whole bunch of money and be like, oh yeah, well now we have the reason to do this, and now this is going forward and this is going forward, and then Palpatine came out and went like, no, yes, wait, I would be like, okay, I wouldn't have a riot on you wouldn't have a riot on my hands. So it's ambiguous in some way.
That makes sense.
Yeah, the argument sounds convincing.
Ooh,
yeah. It's hard to see with Luthen, as you said, because he seems like he's kind of for hire, but then he's trying to create a coalition with people, and as Saul said, like, I'll just buy it from you then. I don't need, I don't want anything to do with you. I don't want to meet your people. I just want to get my things and get out. And it seems he's kind of half in. He calls a hit on Andor when he basically says he knows he needs him, right? Mm-hmm. So now you have people on a search for somebody who you trusted to do this heist, and all of a sudden now you don't trust him anymore and you want to kill him off. And you've already researched him, so he knows all about him. Why would you kill off somebody who can be that viable or that, that pivotal to what you're trying to do moving forward, if you are part of that, right?
You ever see Goodfellas, T. Mitch?
Yes.
Okay, so after the Lufthansa heist, what happens? And they start playing the outro to Layla on the piano.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what's going on.
Right.
You got to close those loops, especially if that guy can't be trusted. What if he starts spending his money running out to some, tropical paradise, and he gets caught and thrown into jail, and all of a sudden the Imperials have him in their clutches and they can make him say and squeal whatever tale they want him to squeal.
Right.
But on the same ends, though, you're starting to see where the rebellion is not really rebellion yet because now they're having second guessing. Why should we go get him? Why should we kill him? Like, what did he do? Why are we having a hit on? You know, I mean, that's where this is not coming together as a full
They
rebellion.
still
It's
think he's like a loose end, right?
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
they don't know what he is yet. You know,
But he's not
somebody.
committed to the cause right now. Like he is actually, a lot like Han Solo at the beginning of Star Wars,
Yeah.
where he's,
Yeah.
oh,
course.
you got the money, you got the
He's
coin, I
happy.
got the gun. You know what I mean? I'm ready to go. And I mean, I don't know what would radicalize you faster than some time in a forced labor camp. I mean, I feel like if some, and I'm not going to, I don't want to be weird about this, but some American politician in however long sent me to some forced labor camp, I can tell you they would not be getting my vote.
Yeah. And I think they're going to eventually use his adopted mother as some sort of a bargaining chip of some sort, because right now we see her, she's sick. Like, what happened? She
got drunk and
ran
fell
out.
over. She's drinking herself into the hole, isn't she? Is that what? Did you guys get that, or am I the only one that got that from?
Well, I don't know. She went on some rampage. She took on a stormtrooper, like a garrison of some sort. And did they poison her or something? Something happened to her.
Yeah.
If she's sick, she's bait.
Yeah.
Right.
And she's starting to become a little wily in the head because, as they said, like
She's
late
a
at night,
liability now.
she's following the garrison around and trying to plot points to, in their eyes, a fictitious rebellion. So that's what they kept saying. They see she's watching stormtroopers walk around and follow them.
Right.
And the thing is, they see her too. Like, it's not like she's in the shadows. She's like walking down in daylight and watching the moves they make. And they're wondering who she's reporting it to. And they're like, this lady's like losing it. So
Yeah, there's going to be something with her and Andor and Luther. Like, there's going to be, because he's going to use him and her as some sort of a bargaining chip of some sort, or she's going to be a dead giveaway. Like, she's going to blow the whole thing up somehow.
I think he's going to lose her. That's going to be his like tipping point.
And just like Anakin and his mother.
Yeah, he's gonna lose her.
Mhm.
And it's already set. It's already setting up for that because she's like doesn't care. You know, she's ready to. She wasn't leaving. She's willing to give her life up for this. So I think she's willing to sacrifice herself, maybe for Cassian to see that this rebellion is real and this is something that you should really be a part of.
I mean, virtually anytime you see Cassian now, his mouth is agape, just open,
Right.
like
Right.
what is going on?
He can't
Like,
believe it. He can't believe he's there.
It's a lot of information coming at him, and he's trying to process it. His mind is still probably on that beach, like, why am I not there? I'm in prison now with a hot floor in front of me. With the potential of just dying, and and I have to do all this forced labor and everything, and it was just the Gabriel Luna just Diego Luna just looking and expressing that sense of like awe, of like everything that's going on around him and stuff, just taking all the prisoners. They know all, a lot of stuff that's going on inside, trying to give him advice and going on that. And just another thing too, the attention to detail with like the food, the way they shower or whatever, the way they is phenomenal. Man, this was a great episode.
For sure. I mean, like I said, this is 8 out of 8 for us. I mean, I don't want to jinx it, but I don't see it slowing down. You can't go 8 straight.
So this season already basically had like an Ocean's 11 in it, and it's
Right.
and it's sort of shaping up. We know nothing's guaranteed here, but it's looking like we're gonna get a Great Escape in it. So
Right.
and that tracks. So you son of a bitch, I'm in.
Yeah, just seeing the X-wing at Saw Gerrera.
Oh yeah,
we
didn't even mention that. Yeah.
I was like, I know who rides an X-wing, and I was like, oh, he's 15.
He's only 15 at this point, man. Oh man.
And
Yeah.
I'm just happy that we're carrying a story and we don't really have to hear about Jedi. I mean, that's a testament to in itself that we don't have to worry about the Force or really any of that stuff. I mean, this is one of those shows we talked about it. Can Star Wars carry itself outside of having, Jedi, Sith, and the Force? And this is doing a phenomenal job of what it should have done. And arguably what some other projects we thought should have been, right? So,
Mhm.
Yeah,
um,
pretty
definitely.
I'm sick of I think I'm already sick of Mon Mothma's husband. He's just
Oh, yeah,
side
he's a jerk.
thing.
He's a real
Well,
jerk.
we already know he's part of the Empire. He's kind of alluded to it. I mean, in that last episode, he kind of hinted as far
Right.
as where his stance was. So,
Hey,
um,
couples are breaking up all over the place over politics in the real world, man. It's a
Yeah.
tragedy. It's a
When-
tragedy out here. It's happened. So, I mean, it definitely makes sense.
When Mon says to her buddy, her friend
I
Tay,
think so. Yeah, yeah.
don't trust my husband. I don't trust him. Like flat. He was like, oh, okay. So she knows that he is already,
He's gone.
yeah, he's gone. Like whatever happens, she's cutting him off because it's going to happen. Because where does she end up?
Right.
She's head of the rebellion. She is leading the entire charge to take down the Empire. So her husband is cannon fodder. I mean,
Yeah, he's a placeholder. I mean, we're getting some good revelations too. Like where they, I guess, didn't we get like a where they got married episode? I mean, I'm not,
Yeah.
but scene and everything and how they
Chandrilla has arranged marriages,
Yeah.
like some
Right.
societies in human, around the earth now and in human history. They're married at a younger age. It seems like there's some sort of selection process, but it really feels like arranged marriage. That felt like the vibe. Like you didn't
Right,
get
yeah.
to pick because she would have
Mhm.
picked that other guy if she had a choice.
Right.
I love that there's this little Rick and Morty-ish thing that happens with the Chandrillan champagne where they drop the worm and it goes psh, and it's like, and that's all the you know what I mean, the carbonation. It
Yeah.
reminded me of a bit from Rick and Morty. I thought that was really cool. I also thought it was funny that the Mon wouldn't drink the champagne. She's like, no,
Yeah.
no thanks.
so I
And
wonder
then they
why.
said it was disgusting, and they're like, that's the point. So of course, it's
Right.
gross.
Is it me or is there something bigger with her daughter? Because now she keeps going missing and she keeps mentioning her like something's wrong, like she knows. So is her daughter doing something? I mean, that's the weird part because she's like, "Have you seen her? I lost her now." And obviously she's at that age to where the teenage age to where she's like, a little bit negligent. But
Yeah,
I think she has a bigger part to play.
It's getting to the point where you're right. Every character means something. If they're planting them there, it's a Chekhov's character or whatever.
Mhm.
Chekhov's
Right.
daughter or whatever. Kind of like how they
Chekhov's
do-
daughter.
I mean, I'm serious. This is how Lost was. I don't know. Whoever watched Lost on here.
I quit watching after a couple seasons.
So everything meant something, and it led somewhere. Now, if you were disappointed on where it led to, that's on you, but it led somewhere. So it was a purpose. It wasn't just like a character was there just to be just to talk, and have like a red shirt, even though they did have like some, a couple red shirts on there, but every character meant something. So the daughter, yeah, she's going in and out of the frame. We're seeing her in and out of scenes and stuff. So I'm pretty sure she's gonna. I trust the Gilroys to come up with something that'll be really exciting for us to see, some sort of betrayal or something, regarding her daughter and stuff. Also,
She doesn't like one or the other. She doesn't like her dad more than her mom.
Mhm.
She kind of dislikes both of them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Yeah.
in a family, like the child definitely has a preference. Okay. They don't, and we all have kids, right?
Yeah.
Right? We all have kids. So your kids like one or the other a little bit more. And if
Yep.
we're getting down to brass tacks and we're
Yep.
talking about life or death,
Yeah.
your
Well.
kid is going to choose one of us.
Oh, we're not putting this discussion on the internet.
I'm just putting it in context of the show. So
I can
she
appreciate it.
definitely has an allegiance to. I mean, in one sense, she likes her mom for one thing, but on another sense, her dad is more important to her because he's kind of like, yeah, go ahead, do whatever you want. And her mom is more of the parent. So there's something. I mean, I think you're right, DP. I think there's something there that they're going to throw at us that's going to be like, ah.
Well, I think her daughter knows something's up because she tried to mention it to her about her friend going missing and why does he keep coming around. So, and then she tried to ask her something, but then people came around and she just steered away. So I think she knows something a lot more than we're leading on to, or you know, I don't know.
And I wonder how. How does she know more?
This goes to how great a show is when you give it room to breathe and work and everything. You know, if this was truncated to like 6 episodes, this probably would have been horrible. You know, but given the room for 12 and everything, I mean, it has room to breathe, room to, you know, get more detail and stuff. Mothma's age, she said she was like what, 16? You know, when she became
15 when they married.
15 when she was a senator, when she was elected to the Senate.
Okay, what was she in? Episode, was it 3? When did we first see her?
And episode 3, she probably was like, I don't know, 30, something like that.
Okay,
because she's probably like, I don't know, how old do you think she is in
Rogue One?
Well, in Rogue One and then in Jedi, because she looks like she's in her maybe mid-ish 40s.
So yeah,
in
40s,
late
yeah.
40s, low 50s. Yeah,
we can look up how old that actress is, I guess, but it's believable that she would be
okay.
45ish, 50ish, and you figure with their medical technology, they probably look 10 years younger than they actually are by number.
Right.
Right. You get a little fudge space for them.
You age differently in this universe, like,
well, you figure. Listen,
time.
If we could run out and buy Bacta of Olay, I'm sure we'd all look quite different.
Down at Rite Aid. Wait, I'll be right back. I'll look like a teenager again. Ha!
Come down to the Growlin' Wookiee.
They got a Rite Aid on Tatooine.
Bacta Olay at the Raging Wookiee. Oh, man.
Oh, that's crazy.
But no, man, yeah, this was definitely another great episode. And as we say, the train keeps rolling at 8 out of 8. And yeah, guys, as far as coming up, you know, we have a big one for you guys. We're going to go ahead and review the Tales of the Jedi, which was a short story series that, I mean, you know, if you're hearing the ratings on the internet, I mean, positive ratings, they're not lying. I mean, arguably, this is maybe best Star Wars animation. You know, as always, me and the nerds here will be debating that, you know, coming up for you guys, but I don't think there's too much of a debate there. I mean, if you haven't seen it, I think they're like 12 minutes each. So, I mean, yeah.
It was like 19 minutes. I didn't even get a chance to finish that, but I just previewed that, and I was just like flabbergasted. I was like, wow, does the rest of this look like, you know, this? I cannot wait to watch it.
So, yeah, we'll definitely get into that. There's some a lot of interesting points. You know, they're short stories, but I mean, there's a lot of changes to canon. You know, me and Hitch loves our canon talks. There's some retconning as well. So we have some character changes, a little bit of character changes that will lead further on down the line into this, you know, overall Filoni verse, if we call it that. But we'll say that for tomorrow, guys.
What if what if that's how they do it? What if they give Filoni his own thing and they say that's different and this is different? Now it's all, man, you just hit on something there, Team Mitch. I hope they're watching tonight.
The DC thing, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
This case was settled. This case was settled.
Piece of the pie, you know.
Right.
That case was settled. There were sanctions. There were said enough of this. We're not doing that again.
But that definitely is something for you guys to check us out on Nerd Cyclopedia, on our Nerd Psycho Comic Flick show. Definitely an interesting show. I mean, yeah, we'll have a Black Adam review coming up. We'll discuss that, and I won't get into that yet. I'm not on the payroll, so. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. We could probably. I'll see it this weekend, so we could probably get into that like Monday or something.
Yeah, Douchey will let you know. I don't know if you want to have him on the show, but because me and Douchey are aligned, and you're on the Marvel payroll, so that'll be another discussion for another day. Yeah, guys, you know
Speaking of payroll, let's talk. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not doing that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, no sponsor this week, guys, unfortunately. But, but
Also,
yeah, guys,
no one.
definitely keep your eyes peeled on Facebook. Like I said, we'll be back with our review on Tales of the Jedi. And other than that, we'll be back next week for another episode of Andor. So until you see us next, this is the way.
This is
the
the way.
way.